In 1885, the world's soundscape was defined by nature and animal life. There were no running engines, car horns, or mechanical hums at the horizon. Society moved at the pace of a horse. On these roads, a journey of 100 kilometers was a multi-day commitment, often taking 72 hours to complete. But inside a small workshop in Germany, one man was working in isolation on a machine that would eventually make these multi-day trips possible in a single hour. Carl Benz assembled a three-wheeled carriage, the tool that would permanently replace the silence of the 19th century with the roar of the modern world. The attempt to remove the horse from the equation began a full century earlier, but inventors initially looked to steam as their power source. The engineering was based on the expansion of boiling water. This creates pressurized gas, which was intended to push the wheels forward without animal assistance. By 1769, Nicolas Joseph Cugnot had produced a massive steam wagon in France, one of the first vehicles to move under its own power. These machines were impractical for the road. They were massive, heavy, and moved at a crawl, with the added constant danger of the pressurized boilers exploding. While steam succeeded on fixed iron rails for heavy trains, the open road required an engine that was lighter and more responsive. In the 1800s, Carl Benz shifted his focus to a different type of power, one that relied on liquid fuel rather than water. He turned to the internal combustion engine. Because it generated power internally, it eliminated the need for a heavy external boiler, making the vehicle much lighter and easier to steer. Inside the chamber, a small amount of gasoline ignites. This contained explosion creates a burst of pressure that forces a piston down, turning the wheels with far more efficiency than steam. By 1885, Benz had successfully mounted this engine to a lightweight three-wheeled frame, the Patent-Motorwagen. To the public, it was a noisy and frightening toy. However, it provided the first physical proof that the horse-drawn era was coming to a close. Benz wasn't alone. In other parts of Germany, Gottlieb Daimler and Wilhelm Maybach were developing their own four-wheeled versions, accelerating the development of the gasoline engine. While the technology was refined in Europe, an American named Henry Ford took on the challenge of making the automobile accessible to the general population. In the early 1900s, automobiles were custom-built by hand, making them expensive luxury items that were far out of reach for the average family. Ford significantly increased production speeds by introducing the moving assembly line. This process required workers to remain in one spot while the vehicle moved past them. Each person added a single standardized part, cutting the time to build a car from over 12 hours to just 90 minutes. The result was the 1908 Model T. It was durable and inexpensive, allowing millions of families to purchase their own vehicle for the first time. Through mass production, the automobile was no longer a rare invention. It became an essential part of daily life across the globe. To accommodate millions of new drivers, governments began an era of mass paving, covering dirt roads with asphalt and standardizing traffic laws to manage the speed. An entirely new landscape emerged. Gas stations, repair shops, and refineries were built in every town to support the ongoing needs of the machine. This mobility changed where people lived. The ability to commute over long distances gave rise to the suburbs, separating the home from the workplace. However, this expansion brought its own set of complications, including rising levels of air pollution, fatal accidents, and the persistent problem of traffic congestion. A tool designed for personal freedom eventually created a world where society is almost entirely dependent on a concrete infrastructure. The environmental and logistical challenges created during the 20th century are now driving the next phase of automotive engineering. Electric vehicles are being adopted globally, replacing the gasoline engine with quiet, battery-powered systems that aim to reduce urban pollution. Simultaneously, computer vision and sensors are taking over the task of driving, potentially moving humans out of the driver's seat entirely. The transition that began in 1885 is still unfolding. While the silence of the past is gone, our movement through the world continues to be reshaped by the drive for faster, more efficient travel.